Back when I was in school, there wasn't any question who was boss. And none's control. God forbid if they ever called home, because if I walked down Thomas Avenue, made a left on Jackson Street, and saw my dad standing on the store porch, we had a little business in Monongah, with his arm against their rail, I knew they called home. And that was the longest walk up that hill ever made. There were three things that we learned at a very early age. We learned about God, country, and family. God, country. In that order, God, country, and family. And God was first. There was no question about it. Your country. You take a bullet for your country. And then your family. Never embarrass your family name. I can't tell you how many times my dad told me, son, you want to drink? We always had bottled wine. In Italian families always have wine on the table, right? You want to drink? There it is right there. Hey, you want. You know, it wasn't something that I needed to go out and test. It was there for us. But don't embarrass your family name. That was a strict name. Then I got to school and I heard that same thing. God, country, and family. I thought there was a conspiracy going on. I thought they were glad. But that's the way it was. That's the way it was in our community. I was telling Reverend in our conversation this morning, I don't remember, Reverend in Monongah, we had a Catholic. I can't remember anybody didn't go to church on Sunday. Everybody went to church on. That's what you had to do. And we had a strict rule, our family. You didn't go to church, you stayed in bed all day. My dad said, you're too sick to go to church, you're too sick to get out of bed. Now, you try to tell maybe your little kid has got to stay in bed all day, impossible. I was ready to go to church every Sunday. But it has played a deep part in my relationship being in public service. And you know, I hear to this day, separation of church and state. How do you separate your moral and ethical beliefs? You can't do that.
And West Side, I mean, you know, we so many times, so many years we've been together, buddy.
Yes.
What's the dollars? And we're a product of our environment. So you can look around. And I give talks around, used to be around the state, now it's a little bit around the country from time to time. And I tell people I was raised as a privileged child. And they look at me and say, oh boy, it must have been a big fancy neighborhood. Well, I was raised in Farmington. If there's one fancy, I haven't found it yet. I was raised down across the tracks between the Buffalo Creek and the tracks, okay? Well, it must have been a big house if you were privileged. Well, we had a 3-room garage apartment. So they said, well, why are you thinking? And they said, you must have a lot of money in the family. I don't remember any money, but I don't remember anybody having any money. But I don't remember us ever wanting anything. So they said, they kept looking at me and I said, now you're going to figure out, why do I think I was raised as a special child, privileged? I had unconditional love. Total unconditional love. I had a person and people all around me that loved me, right, wrong, or indifferent. They're going to love me in the morning, love me at night. Whatever I did wrong during the day, they still love me. So I had unconditional. That's pretty privileged. You're pretty privileged when you have that happen in your life. I think of Papa and Mama Kay and church. Everyone thinks I'm a religious person, so you must go to church all the time. Well, I did as a kid. Roman explained growing up as a little Catholic boy and had to be an altar boy. And if you're the first boy, they always think you're going to be a priest. That happens to you about 12 or 13 and they give up on you. Mama Kay held on for a long time. I just said, I hate to let her down. I think I made it to 13 or 14 and she was still had strong desires and thoughts. Timmy comes along and I said, well, pass on to some, maybe he'll make it. I'm not going to make it. So it was just a great time. But let me just tell you, Papa, my grandfather, was probably the most religious man I know that went to church. And remember John Rose? He preached in the back of the butcher shop, in the little grocery store. He read the Bible. I swear to goodness, read the Bible every day. Knew it frontwards and backwards. Could quote every verse. But Mama came Papa. So when I say I'm a product of my environment, so religion, where do you get your religion from? Where do you get your humanity from? Where do you get your moral values from? We all have a clock inside of us. It's just how's it ticking? Which way is it going? So I watched. We observe. As children, you observe. You watch a little kid, they'll mimic their parents. They start talking the same things you say. They'll do things you do, and they want to do what you do. So if you do good, they're going to want to do good. If you don't do good, they're going to say, it must be okay. Even though they know inside they're doing wrong, they think you make it okay. That's what we're lacking today. But Mama Kay, I watched her. I used to walk with her uptown. If she sees someone who's crippled, if she saw somebody that might be impaired or be challenged in any way, we'd have to stop and say a prayer. Stop right there and say a prayer. By the grace of God, it could be you or I. She'd never forget that, Joe. Remember that, Tim? She'd make you stop. So I was raised with that. And then, as a kid, we had to whitewash the basement. Now, we didn't have a whole lot. She had a basement, and we cleaned it. I don't know if Timmy was young enough. I don't know if he was old enough to remember. We used to clean that basement, remember? And then everybody would come stay. So there was no homeless shelters back then that we would know of. The churches didn't reach out. There wasn't many. It had to be somebody in the community to take them in. So we whitewashed the basement, and she said, well, in case somebody needs it. But they'd come and they'd stay. Mama Kay had 3 rules. So I learned very early you had to live by rules. You couldn't swear because she had too many of us. There was about 20 of us running around all the time. She couldn't cuss because she didn't want that around her little kids. Okay? You couldn't drink because maybe the demons come out. We'd lose them to the demons. And they had to work. That's not too bad. Can't swear. Pretty good around kids. Shouldn't drink. It's not good. And you have to work. It's pretty good. We had some of the greatest talent. You know, of course, we lived by the tracks, and people jumped the tracks every now and then. They knew right where to jump off when they were hungry and in need of a little bit of spiritual uplifting. So I watched it. People talk about it. I lived it and watched it. Mama Kay was the one, if you didn't go to church, you had to stay in bed. I remember that. Boy, I used to sneak out of bed a lot. And Papa, he would preach to you. So you had 2 options. If you missed church, you had to go over and listen to Papa preach to you on the porch. So sometimes I would pick the porch. Most of the time I picked church. So I get it from both ends. And but then I watch Papa. So Papa would say, keep yourself strong. And I say, Papa, what do you mean? He says, I don't mean physically and mentally. I mean financially too. He says, you know, Papa didn't have much. What he had, he carried in his pocket. And everybody knew it. He gave you what, right? If you're really down and out. On Fridays, we used to load the car up and take groceries and give them to people because he knew that if somebody lost their husband, got killed in the mine or something, there was no welfare. There was no workers' comp. There was none of this kind of stuff back then. There was Papa and Mama Kay in Farmington. Every other town had it. We'd take groceries. We knew who needed what. And that's how, so you see all that. So I'm standing on the steps of the Capitol, 2005. I remember Papa saying, keep yourself strong. I take an oath to be the governor of the state of West Virginia for approximately 2 million people. Not 2 million people, you'll make the right decision or not. Papa says, keep yourself strong, financially strong. That's when I went crazy and I started saying, we're going to get this. We have never been looked upon as having financial strength in West Virginia. We're going to change that. And we did. And those of you who are raised as privileged children, you know who you are out there. Share it. Go out and share it. Just be who you are. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to write a program. Just be who you are. And go out and share it a little bit. And I can tell you, this would be a much better world. It is a much better world because of you and your outreach programs. Pete, all of you all have done, all of you in the church, faith-based West, and all of you. I appreciate you all so much. I really do.